barriers to cross. All I have in common with the uncontrollable and the insane, the vicious and the evil, all the mayhem I have caused and my utter indifference toward it, I have now surpassed.
When I was a medium, I wasn't really a medium. When I thought I was a medium, I was believing it. Now I don't believe it. I don't consider myself a medium. So you're a fake. Oh yeah, yes, I suppose I was because of my religion. Because spiritualism is a religion, and not to be confused with New Age. So basically, I believed what I was doing as, not as a professional, no, not as a fully qualified medium, but as a medium in the Spiritualist church in my religion. I believed it was genuine because that was my belief. And I realised how fake it was. But I was taught those techniques and ideas by so-called qualified mediums. Qualified with Arthur Findlay College, which is the big spiritualist hub in Stansted. So, if they're using the same techniques, they're fake too. Oh, well, makes sense. If I was fake, they were fake. So, the SNU, the Spiritualist National Union, produces fakes. People who give out cold reading and think it's spiritual. Barnum statements, which they think are spiritual. They have prior knowledge, which they think links in, so they add it in and they think, well, it's part of the message. And if they have doubts, well, it's their religion, it's their faith, and it comforts people. So, they're fake too. Unless they have a confirmable ability which can be tested by objective organisations as opposed to biased ones where they would say, oh yes, of course, psychic ability, definite. Then how do you know any medium is truly a medium, a spirit communicator? How could you or would you know that they were or indeed were not? Until you actually know there is a positive claim of being a medium with actual communication between them and the spirit world as opposed to generalisations and a few good hits, then should they even be allowed to label themselves as a medium for spirits? Or as being an accurate psychic? You know, a person who claims to be psychic, they can, you know, read this, read that, they give it a load of generalisations, they feed off the information you give to them, and, oh, they're psychic. Mediums, they give out generalisations relating to dead relatives. You take it, you feed them information, they feed it back to you, and, oh, they're psychic. They're a medium, they're a spirit communicator. Maybe there's no mediums, and maybe the term medium is not worth using until it's actually proven that such things exist. Maybe people shouldn't use the term as well, this is a funny term, genuine medium. I'm a genuine medium. They'll even say on their business cards, genuine medium, genuine spirit communicator, healer, psychic. What does genuine mean in that context? Real? You haven't confirmed it's real other than through the belief people have in it, or the idea the person who is using it as a business is trying to project. So, real? Genuine? True? Actual? All these terms, pointless. I mean, it's funny as well, within spiritualism I've had qualified mediums. Qualified not merely in the mediumship course, in the teaching course, in the trance mediumship course and much more. And they will say a psychic has to look at the person to read their aura. Or they have to hold their hands, or, you know, hold something which belongs to them to get a reading which seems to be spiritual. You know, they have to pretend all of this stuff. But a medium, they can just give it out. They could be blindfolded, they could be tied down and complete sensory deprivation. But that doesn't happen. Oh, people have tried it and they give out generalisations. And a lot of people would say scientists don't want to hear about mediums. And I suppose that's true. Many would have a belief system which isn't compatible. But also, many wouldn't want to waste their time with what would be a bunch of generalisations, a bunch of ego-brushing ideas. You know, of a lot of built-up potential. The only difference really between most psychics and most mediums is a psychic will say, I'm sensing this. A medium, especially the TV mediums and the famous mediums, they will go, a spirit's telling me, my guide's telling me about your mother, and your mother would be on the other side, is that correct? Okay, no? Okay, this must be grandmother on the mother link. So I didn't get it quite right, but I'm definitely on that link, yes? And they go, yes. Okay, so I'm sensing from this particular individual, what they're giving to me now is, and they give out the same information as a psychic. And it's seen as being so much better because they use a well-known technique. Yeah, so according to, well, psychic teachers, spiritualist teachers, they will say things like, oh, if a person, a medium, shows you a face of a relative, like their face changes while they're on the stage, which is an old spiritualist thing apparently, then that's spiritual. But if they come over to you, and are very close to you, or even touching you, and then you see it, it's psychic. I thought psychic was mind power, which can be telepathic. And telepathy, if it can work between different dimensions, or different vibrational states, like this life, the physical world and the afterlife, then surely it could go to other places. There have been so-called psychic tests where they claim to have communication from the other side of the planet. So they kind of bullshit on their bullshit, don't they? Oh no, you can't do that, no, this works this way, that works that way, presupposing ideas to confirm what they do, what they say, and what they believe as being correct. More proof, it's just simply a question of religion, in the end. Oh yeah, well, of course, if a medium says this, they're actually being genuine. Oh, you can tell this medium isn't correct, because you can't see the spirits around them. So maybe you just can't see them? No, I'm a developed medium, and I've had my scepticism about this person because I heard that they were apparently not very good from another medium I trust. And when I saw them, lo and behold, they had no spirits around them. Psychological? No, it couldn't have been psychological because, you know, ridiculous. Funny thing about philosophy. Mediums who do philosophy. The story is that mediums can only give philosophy which is at their level. How convenient. So if a medium is getting philosophy which is above their level, it would be translated through their mind and become something which is at their level of understanding. Or their imagination is working overtime creating these things. And they're calling it spiritual, really it's a question of their own creativity and the limitations of their own creativity. So, yeah. Spiritual artists, spirit art, automatic writing and the like. The art the writing, which is supposedly done with a spirit working through a person in a level of trance or overshadowing, should be considerably different from their own work, their own handwriting, their own artistic style, because it's apparently a spirit walking through them. So a spirit is working through them, and it's more or less the same as what they do anyway, or slightly different, but obviously still them. Trance mediumship. An excuse for grown adults to put on silly voices, in many cases. For people to go, ah yes, I was a great spirit when I was new. Usually a thing they have knowledge of. A person who is obsessed with the Romans will see Romans. Yeah. A person who is obsessed with this will see this, the person obsessed with that will see that, etc, etc, etc. A person who likes the angels, what do they channel in trance? Oh yeah, archangels. So they will go into a trance, and I've seen this done, and they go, "This is the Archangel Michael." I'm doing an impression of a woman who did this, and she goes, "You're all developing very well. You're all developing very good. You," with the eyes closed as well, "you need to focus on the meditation. You need to focus on your chakras. And you've moved forward very well." And this kind of stuff. They believe in this kind of stuff. They don't tell them anything revolutionary. They're supposedly channeling a spirit directly. The most absolute communication of mediumship is a very deep trance, supposedly. And they give across generalisations which mean very little. No lottery numbers. No, I'm afraid not. Not even serious information when it's supposedly a relative of a person being channeled. It's as bad as, and just as stupid as, the ridiculous, well, possessions of Derek Acora on the TV programme Most Haunted. It's that ridiculous. Okay, not throwing stuff around or being aggressive, but just as general. And there's this thing as well where you're not meant to interrupt the person in trance unless it's a Q&A. So unless they're asking questions, giving answers. How often does a trance medium do a question and answer session when they're channeling your relatives? Answer, probably never, or almost never. Unless they know you and they can give information. And usually it's simply like saying a few things like they're, I don't know, Agatha, and they're related to someone in the group and they've had problems with their development. And they would say, because they know who the group is, they know the names of the people in the group, because it's a regular get-together. They're with, I don't know, Hazel or Robert or whomsoever. And they don't actually have questions or answers. They just go into it for a little bit, come out of it, and they go, "Whew, that was intense. That was a strong session." Maybe it was for you, but for no one else. And the people in the group, they're all holding hands perhaps, or having their hands up, giving out the energy. Give out the energy. Or, you know, you have some people like that, and saying they're sending energy to people, to the person in trance. And like people in the group who think they're seeing stuff, because the lights are dim as well, either candle lit or dim electric lights or whatever, or maybe lights off in certain private sessions, like, you know, closed circles and the like. They will say, "Oh, the face changed to that of an old woman," and that people would say, "Oh, I saw that." The fact the lights are dim or off, you can barely see them, your eyes can barely make out the features. They're acting like an old woman or an old man. Yeah, you're going to see that. It's, well, hallucination. Obviously. People channeling their guides, funny. You get people who are very well developed in philosophy and ideas, and they give out information which they could give out just in a different voice, slightly deeper voice, slightly more practiced voice, you know, more, you know, with their eyes closed. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. You know, people with my voice would speak like that, or an old woman would speak like, instead of speaking like an old woman, would speak, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Or Colin Fry, you can find videos of Colin Fry supposedly doing trance in a spiritualist church, and instead of talking like Colin Fry, he goes, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute pleasure. I'm Magnus, or whatever his name is. It's, you know, pathetic. It really is. And they don't give proof. Like, I saw a James Randi video from a TV series he did, I can't remember the name of the show now, about psychics and the like. They had a guy who's a healer who claimed to be possessed by a guy called Dr. Khan. He said, Dr. Khan does it. I don't do it. I'm not covering it. Dr. Khan comes to me and he works through me. And supposedly Dr. Khan was a real doctor who does so-called spiritual doctor work, and there's no evidence that Dr. Khan ever existed. Surely if he was trancing through someone, a so-called spiritual healer or even trance healer, then he would be able to say, oh yes, my name is Dr. I don't know, Khan Barani or anything. Dr. Khan from, I don't know, Staple Street in, I don't know, Newcombe or somewhere, I don't know. But something like that, some kind of address, some kind of connection, the name of his full name, what took him over. You could check it out, check all the, you know, census records, medical records, do research online as well, and find that yes, that is correct. Instead, no, nothing. What a surprise. Suppose though, you know, the guy would be sued by the spirits family, I don't know, living family. Right, we're going to sue you, you're taking rights, you're taking money for what this person does. But it is ridiculous. And healing is a funny thing. Most spiritualist healers don't go into trance, or don't do trance as part of their regular work. Instead, they do hands-on healing, or usually hands-on, sometimes hands-off healing, and they supposedly get energy from the spirit world and pass it on to the person. The people don't usually get great medical effects, but they get a wicked contact high, so, you know, why not? You know, placebo effect, going to a service, asking for healing, sitting in certain seats and having certain qualified and licensed healers, or at least insured qualified healers, do their work. And, yeah, people get an effect, I suppose. Not a real effect, just a effect. And I've got to admit, when I believed in it, a lot of healing was great. But when I started to question it and question certain healers and going from a more impartial point of view, there was nothing. Just me sitting down with my eyes closed, relaxing, with some calming music, with some calming lighting, and them just laying on hands over certain areas. It's pathetic. It really is. You know, I actually did some healing. For 2 years I was a trainee healer, and that basically meant that my details were sent through to the local healing group, which allows insurance, and training. And at the Spiritualist Church for a couple of years, almost every week, I was doing healing, either hands off or hands on. So yeah, I did that. What got me out of it was a job. The job came up and I thought, right, I'm going to have to stick with that job. I can't do both because the job was night. And so I left the healing alone. I didn't bother doing the healing. Quite simple, really. That wasn't the only thing that got me out of spiritualism. No, it wasn't the only thing that got me out of healing either. Or mediumship. Many, many other factors. I still kept on going to an evening circle, a meditation group on a Wednesday night with a guy called Gary who ran the group, and there was around about, I don't know, varied numbers. In between 15 and 30 people would go, meditate, give out messages. So that was interesting. Not very good, because it was kind of no skepticism. Although interestingly, when people were skeptical, it was because they had ego issues. There's a woman who went to the group who was very forthright, didn't like questions, and people who asked questions of her, she would knee-jerk reaction ask questions of them. So, very negative situation, I suppose. And it's easy to fall into a hole with that kind of stuff and believe the bullshit, you know, accept it as being true because it must be true. And I suppose in many ways I did that. I believed in stuff because, well, it must be true. I believed in stuff because it seemed to be real. And in the end it was simply, well, delusion. You know, mental masturbation they call it. You create these elaborate fantasies which you wish to be true, you embellish these fantasies, make them seem to be a reality, and you become a believer in it so much that reality itself is obscured from you. Your view of reality is obscured by your faith. You create delusions, and in many ways some elements of mediumship are very similar to other elements of religion. Spiritualism has, say for example, healing. You have faith healing in many other versions of religion, many other versions of Christianity. Not all spiritualism is Christian. There's non-denominational, so, you know, Jewish people or deists and New Agers can have fun too. Why not, you know? Trance kind of reminds me in some cases of what the Pentecostalists and several other churches do, where they have people talking in tongues or supposedly talking on behalf of spirit beings, angels and such. And that links into New Age as well, with the New Age channelers who claim to channel angels, archangels, aliens, etc. So, yeah, it's a peculiar combination of many other beliefs, many aspects which come together to form a gigantic amount of nonsense.
There are no more barriers to cross. All I have in common with the uncontrollable and the insane, the vicious and the evil, all the mayhem I have caused and my utter indifference toward it, I have now surpassed.